you saw, Matt shared in the Discord pretty recently. A lot of really awesome new releases came out, and I wanted to take some time today and really kind of go through these and kind of show you guys, how they actually work, and then hopefully also give you guys a chance to actually ask some questions about them, and hopefully show you guys a few examples. So if at any point, feel free to type in the chat here. I've got it pulled up so I can see if you guys have any specific questions. And if there's any features specifically you want me to spend a little more time on, feel free. But yeah, definitely one of the first features that's going to be really, really cool for you guys is this risk to reward simulator. And for those of you that don't know, I actually have a background. I'm an actuary, which means I'm really good with Excel spreadsheets and numbers. And I actually helped kind of build this risk to reward simulator. It's something that I've kind of been wanting to work on for you guys, because a lot of you have trying to figure out how to optimize your strategies, but it's a pretty tedious process and kind of difficult for a lot of you. So yeah, this new risk to reward simulator basically is a way for you guys to simulate, if you would have held the trades, for, maybe your base model, you only held it for 1.14 hour, and, it shows you what would have happened instead if you would have held it for 1.5 hour, 2 hour, etc. And I want to show you guys some specific examples, because it's going to be better if I show you guys actual examples for this. So there's really a few main kind of outcomes this risk to reward simulator is going to give you. So I've done a lot of different strategies in here, and I'll show you guys a few examples. So this is the Venom model, I think, on gold that I tested a while back with a 2-to-1 risk to reward. It was profitable, but definitely not the craziest equity curve. So when I come into this risk to reward simulator, it gives me some really good information in terms of how I might actually be able to optimize this strategy. And, one of the cool things with that is it shows you that you can actually see that it shows you actually reducing our take profit a little bit is more optimal in this case. So instead of going for the kind of 2-to-1 in the kind of initial backtest we did, it looks like we can both increase profitability and increase our win rate by just dropping the take profit a little bit from, maybe 2 hour to 1.5 hour. And you can get a little more granular with all of these if you want to maybe zoom in around the kind of level it's showing. Maybe you want to test kind of each side of it. You can kind of add, maybe it looks like 1.5 hours optimal, but I can kind of tweak these a little. And okay, I'm seeing now that maybe 1.4 hour, if I get a little more specific, is even better. And obviously this is going to be a lot better if you have a larger sample size. I think there were only maybe 26 trades or so in this sample, so this isn't going to be super definitive data. But I just kind of want to show you guys, for example. But you can definitely get more granular with the kind of custom inputs. I think you can add up to 3 at a time and see, 1.4 hour would pretty drastically increase the win rate from 42% to 58%. Our profitability goes from 14 hour to 20 hour in this case, and profit factor goes up pretty significantly. And so for those of you that aren't super familiar with the profit factor, all it is basically the sum of all your wins divided by the sum of all your losses. So basically, how much are you making for each loss, essentially. And if you look online, they'll kind of suggest that somewhere between 1.75 and 4 profit factor is really what you want to shoot for. Anything under 1.75 really isn't that profitable. So if you're seeing, with pretty much all of the simulations that most of your profit factors are below 1.75, it might just mean that strategy you're testing is not very profitable. You could potentially look for some optimizations to maybe try and improve it, but it also might be good to just, transition to a different strategy rather than trying to continue testing something that isn't very profitable. So this is the first kind of case where it's actually suggesting me to have a little more conservative take profit. I'll show you guys another example where it actually is the opposite. So this was the opening range break strategy that I tested, and pretty much all of these you can find on the YouTube. We've tested a bunch of these, and for this specific model, I was going for pretty conservative take profits, only 1.5 hour on average. Didn't have the best win rate. We were able to see a decent, slowly increasing equity curve, but nothing too crazy. And so when I actually ran it in the risk to reward simulator, in this case, it actually said I could increase my profitability and profit factor quite a bit if I just hold these trades a little bit longer. So maybe instead of going for the 1.5 hour kind of base hits on average, it's telling me if you actually hold those a little longer, maybe 2.5 hour, it'll increase your profit factor pretty significantly. And so this was an output where the simulator kind of tells me, I might need to hold my winners longer if I want this strategy to be more profitable. You can see the base model it was below that 1.75 kind of threshold. So the base model really wasn't that profitable by itself, but after running it through the simulator, you could probably have a pretty decent edge with the 2.5R instead. So kind of, we've seen one example where it's saying, drop your take profit a little bit. This case, it's saying increase it a little bit. I want to show you another case where it's going to be really important to kind of apply the appropriate filters depending on what tags and strategy you're looking at. So I wanted to show you guys this specific case. This was SMB Capital's offside scalping strategy I did. And the reason I pulled this one up is because there were basically two different entry triggers I used for this strategy. One of them was like a pretty simple 1-to-1. I believe this one. I use these different tags to kind of identify the different trade triggers I was using. Yeah, so this entry trigger 2, these trades were just simply 1-to-1 risk to reward. Obviously had a lot higher win rates. And there was a second trade trigger that I was going for more like 2-to-1 risk to reward. And the reason this is important, so you can see 2R for these trades. The reason this is important is because you're going to want to add these filters specifically before you run the simulator, because otherwise it's going to kind of mix up the different trade triggers. And it might also be important to do it like, filter by asset if you're trading on different assets, because that could provide different results. So I have the kind of 2-to-1 trade, put in this initially. Let me run this simulation. You'll see for this specific one, it's showing me I could probably improve my my results quite a bit by holding these a little bit longer. Again, not like huge sample size, only 11 trades in this, so we'd want to see a little higher sample size. But the whole point is, if you have multiple trade triggers, you're going to want to make sure you like filter on those in the analytics before you look at the risk to reward simulator. So I'll go back to this kind of 1-to-1 risk to reward. And I'll show you that for this one specifically, it was saying, your base case was honestly the best. Like the highest profit factor that we saw from all the simulations was kind of that 1-to-1 base model that you did. And so that's kind of what you want to stick with. So the important thing, like I said, if you use multiple entry triggers with your model, you're going to want to make sure and filter on those in the analytics so that the risk reward simulator like is looking at the right thing, whether that's, different assets, a different entry trigger, different strategy, whatever it may be. So you can want to filter on that stuff. And then kind of the last thing I wanted to show you guys with this risk reward simulator was actually something a user from our Discord shared. I don't know if I can zoom in on this a little bit. So this is somebody from our Discord that is actually a profitable trader, and they had a pretty good edge, but it was a pretty aggressive model, almost 5R that they were going for each trade with like a very low win rate, but the wins are much bigger than the losses. And so it was a profitable strategy, and I was really curious to see what the risk reward simulator was going to provide for his model. And it was really interesting with this specific case because it brought up the element of you can kind of use these results to really customize to your preference. And so kind of what I'm seeing from this, the initial model only had a 1.7 profit factor, which is profitable, but you can see both the 1R simulation and the 5R simulation had almost identical profit factors, 2.13, 2.08. So this is a really unique case where, number one, either one of these could pretty drastically improve his results if he jumped to, using 5R fixed for his trade. I believe when I was talking to him, he said, some trades he would do 3R, some trades he would hold up to like 10R. So he had kind of a pretty variable take profit. So this is saying if he used a fixed 5R or a fixed 1R, he could pretty significantly improve his results. And then the cool thing is there's some flexibility here where, maybe there's two separate people trading the strategy, and he's definitely a person that is totally comfortable trading, maybe a 25-30% win rate strategy, but maybe some beginners, like it's really hard psychologically to take that many losses. So someone could trade the same exact strategy in this case with, just the 1-to-1 risk to reward. You maybe have a lot higher win rate, so you see, a lot fewer losses, you see a lot more wins, and you can actually increase your risk in this case because you have almost half the drawdown relative to, going for 5R. But this is a cool case where you can kind of use this simulation and just kind of see like what would work best for you. So maybe it's telling you to shift one direction or the other, but as long as the results seem promising, you can kind of also just like think about, what is best for you. And a lot of cases for beginners, having maybe a little bit of a higher win rate can be helpful, at least early on. At least over 50%, I think, is like easier psychologically for beginners. So the cool thing with the risk reward simulator is without having to do a ton of different tests yourself with, spreadsheets and things like that, it gives you a really good output of all the different things you can do. And yeah, and the one thing I will say is there are like a couple limitations to just be aware of with this that we're hoping to kind of improve upon in future. So basically, like these simulations project out, like if you would have held the trade, I think up to a week after it was closed. And in some cases, that's not really realistic. Like for example, a lot of future traders, myself included, I have to close my day, my trade at the end of the day. A lot of prop firms and things like that like don't let me hold it for a week. And so in the future, we hope to have some customizability where we can maybe adjust that projection to maybe stop each day. Or some traders can't hold things over the weekend, so maybe we'll stop it at the end of the week. But right now, for pretty much all of these, it's projecting out if you were to hold the trade like up to a whole week after. So especially a lot of these higher risk to reward simulators, it might not be like 100% realistic, and that's something it should be directionally appropriate, but especially if you're taking trades, and you don't have a whole lot of time to hold them, that customization is going to improve the accuracy of this tool in the future. So hopefully that gave you guys a really good overview of this risk to reward simulator. It's a phenomenal tool. Like I said, it's only available on the intermediate and pro plans, but it's going to save you literally like tens and dozens of hours. I used to do all of these optimizations manually in Excel, testing different things like that. But similarly, if you guys have suggestions for feature requests or different things like that, or we're going to put a link in the description of the video when it's posted a little bit later. Feel free to share in there if you guys have other feature requests or specific enhancements you want to see to these different simulations. So some of the other features that are really cool with this one, Scalper Mode is also something that I helped design. So I'll actually pull up the FX replay chart here, and I'll show you guys a couple examples on both Forex and futures. So there's this new Scalper Mode if you go into your chart here, that you can basically pull up this dialog, and it'll basically help you preset certain levels so that when you use these quick buy and sell features, you can like automatically set how far away you want your levels to be. And so before I kind of go into this and set it up, I'll show you kind of how you can decide what levels to use for this. So maybe your scalper, if you were scalping Forex, you'd want to definitely use like a low spread broker like Pepperstone or IC Markets or something. But maybe you were someone that just really wanted to go for really quick base hits here, where maybe you wanted to risk, 5 pips of drawdown to try and catch maybe 10 pips. So you're going for kind of quick 2-to-1 trades. And you can kind of see here with these position tools, I pulled this up to kind of show you how to visualize this. So these kind of numbers that show up on the position tool are basically the pips or ticks that you are going to need to input into the scalp mode. So 5 pips to the downside, 10 pips to the upside in this example. You could adjust it however you wanted. But the position tool will help you kind of know how far you want to set for those. And so let's say, for example, we wanted to do that. So I would come in here, I would maybe put 5 pips for my stop, 10 pips for my take profits. And auto break even, like I said, is optional, but you could definitely, go break even maybe half the way. You can play around with different things, but it's going to be a really helpful feature for scalpers. So you can come in here and put 1, and then basically at any point you can click the quick buy. It'll automatically put those on the chart, and you can kind of play things forward. Again, if you wanted to change that risk to reward, unfortunately that first one was a loss. But let's say we're just literally just watching price and trying to scalp here. Or maybe we want to kind of look for long now, and we caught a quick scalp to the upside. Maybe we want to catch a continuation now. I'm literally just randomly placing stuff here. So unfortunately, it looks like might catch a loss this time. It's a really quick way for you guys to backtest with actual risk to reward data, and could be a lot more efficient than some of the backtesting you've been doing previously. Same thing with futures. I trade futures a lot, so we kind of show the similar examples with futures. So kind of same thing. If you wanted to put the position tool on the chart, in this case, the ticks are going to be quite a lot bigger. So you might be more interested in using the percentage. It's 0.13. I think you have the option to do either percentage or ticks with these settings. So you can use either one. The ticks is kind of this number on the right. The percentage is right here on the left. But really, whatever you want to use, I think similarly with futures, maybe you can go sub 1 minute on some of these. So if you're really a scalper that's using super low time frame trades, I wouldn't go personally more than 30 seconds on futures. But if you're really scalping on futures, maybe maybe some people, on a super volatile day, it's obviously going to be a little different, but maybe you want to risk 50 pips. Maybe you're just going for simple 1-to-1. So I need to adjust these for NQ specifically. So I said I was going to risk 50 pips to make 100 pips. And we don't need the break-even feature because I'm just going for 1-to-1 at this point. I could go, break even at 0.5 R or something. But let's just go simple 1-to-1s. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're looking for continuation to the downside. I kind of not sure if I want to buy or sell in this case, to be honest. But we'll play price forward a little bit and just kind of see what I'm looking at. Okay, that one was like way too fast, actually. There we go. Now I got a nice win. And let's see, we're kind of in after hours right now. Maybe we'll grind up a little bit. But yeah, it's a cool way you guys can play around with maybe backtesting a little quicker. It's definitely like this specific strategy is, or the way I'm trading right now is probably a lot less mechanical than some of the ways that the other ways using the position tool and everything like that. But if you really want to just like trade with price action and just try and like, kind of visualize some reps, this could be a cool way to do it. And so, yeah, we got a recommendation from someone. DTFX is 1-to-1 strategy. I would love to, start using scalp mode now that we have it now. So thanks for recommending that. I'll definitely try and take a look at that one. So that's scalp mode. Like I said, we'll hopefully have some more advancements in the future so you can maybe figure out what size is correct to make sure you're only risking whatever risk you want. That's the biggest limitation I think right now is we don't really have a way for you guys to like help you figure out the sizing of your trades. So that's definitely something that's going to be coming. But yeah, scalp mode is going to be a really cool feature for you guys. So definitely encourage you guys to check it out. Some of these other ones, all these features might not be for you specifically. Like me personally, I've never been a huge shortcut guy. But for those of you that really don't like using your mouse and you just like to kind of use your keyboard for all this stuff, you can basically hit Control Shift. I'll try and see if I can do it on the chart. Control Shift H, I think, yeah. And you can see all the different shortcuts that are available. There's literally a ton of them. And I think as well, if you like hover over most of these, there's all kinds of different shortcuts that are available for pretty much all of these, or most of them at least. So you can see those shortcuts by doing Control Shift H and see all the shortcuts that are available, even within the dashboard within FX Replay. You can do the same thing, but it's mostly obviously going to be for backtesting specifically. So if you love shortcuts, definitely check it out because they got a lot of those available now. So a couple things also with the trading specifically. There's also a new feature that's kind of more similar to TradingView now, where previously really the only way before to shake trades was using the quick buy sell. I'll turn off this scalp mode now because I don't really want to use that at this point. But outside of using this position tool and clicking place order or using the quick buy, there wasn't really any other ways to take trades. So to make it a little more similar to TradingView, there's now a way to right click and either buy or sell directly on the chart. And it just basically uses whatever input you have down here. So in this case on NQ, I was trading one contract. I would, could do a sell stop over here. If it came below this level, it would kind of sell it. And before the trade gets triggered, it's probably best to maybe mark out where you want your take profit to be, similar to stop loss. So kind of before the trade triggers, I recommend adjusting that take profit and stop loss so that it makes sure that the risk reward kind of is in play. And then again, you can kind of play it out. We never actually tapped into that level, so I'm still not tapped in. And so maybe at this point I would have just canceled the trade. But you can kind of place this. Maybe I want to trade a breakout at this point, so I could do a buy stop. Same thing, kind of just going for a little base hit here. You can kind of place it however you want, and front ran our take profit. Hey, there we go. So yeah, a lot of cool features you can do with this. And the whole goal of this is just to make your testing quicker. And again, this is going to be to help you, make it a little quicker. And so one thing I also want to mention, a lot of you might be used to, constantly putting these position tools on your chart because that used to be the best way to trade. But if you're not doing that with either scalp mode or these other features, you can still see those positions if you come into this close positions tab and select this show on chart option. And so basically there's two different things. You can select position drawings, which will basically put the position tools. You can see kind of the trades we actually took, or you could just put arrows, kind of similar to what you'll see on TradingView when the trades entered or closed. So if you're using one of these kind of more quick and dynamic trades, but you still want to be able to go back and see what trades were taken, this is a really cool way with the closed positions tab to still visualize those. And I actually just learned this pretty recently, but if you have a ton of these and you're kind of going back and reviewing them, you can actually like click on each of these trades individually. It zooms it in a little bit, but that could be like a good way to review them as well. So kind of a pro tip there. If you still want to be able to see the position tools on your chart without actually putting them on yourself, that's a great way to do it. So let's see, what else we got? I think we've already talked about the drag to place to take profit. So let's talk about some of the new replay features. So within FX Replay, I want to actually go back to my account real quick, and I'll show you guys. Save this layout real quick. If I go back to my account, you want to go into your settings real quick and make sure you have this enable replay toggled on. And again, this is going to be also for only the paid plans. I don't believe this replay feature is available on the free plan. So if you want to be able to rewind price, you're going to need either the intermediate or pro plan. But once you have this turned on, if you're going to go back into your session, then you will basically have the ability to replay actually 3 different ways now. So maybe you're playing price along, and maybe I'll just go to like a higher time frame now. Maybe you're playing price along and you're looking for a setup. You see, okay, there might be something coming, and oh, I went like a few candles too far. So you actually realize, okay, I would have taken a trade here for whatever reason. There's 3 different ways you can actually replay the price. You can right click and replay to this date. It'll bring up a pop-up, and the important thing when you replay, it's going to undo any trades you've recorded kind of within that window. So there's a note there. Make sure you're aware of that when you do the replay. So you can right click and replay. You can now use this bar replay, which is kind of similar to TradingView, where I can kind of use this bar to drag back wherever I want, and it'll automatically kind of pull me back to that time. And then lastly, you can go candle by candle. So similarly, the same way you can go candle by candle going forward, you now have the option to go candle by candle backwards. So 3 awesome features that you can use to go backwards. Maybe the right click, if you're used to, you like the bar replay from TradingView, things like that. It's just like a helpful way for you guys to see that. But yeah, there's 3 different ways now that you can use the bar replay, either single candle, by bar, or kind of replay to this date with the right click. So I feel like that's kind of the majority. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, there is one additional thing in the analytics. So if I'm gonna go back to this, maybe I'll just pull up one of these from a previous session or see something like this. Okay. Let me see if I have one with a little more data. It's only 26 trades. Let me see, which one of these do I want to look at? 24 trades. Probably this one, 109 trades. So we have some new drawdown analytics here, which basically shows for every winning trade, how far did it go down into drawdown before the trade actually hit your take profit? And this isn't something that's been available before. This is a new feature that's been available. Obviously, on average, across all the winning trades that you took, how far do they go down? So basically, this 0.45 amount basically says on average your trades went, basically down negative 0.45 R into your drawdown before they went into take profits. I had at least one trade where I had literally 0 drawdown, so it went straight to my take profit. Love to see those trades. And then I had a trade that went 98% towards my stop, so negative 0.98 R, and it almost hit my stop loss and then came back up. And kind of the cool thing with this, it's going to give you some insights on, there might be some opportunities to potentially tighten my stop loss. So especially if you're seeing an average drawdown, 0.3, 0.25, very low average drawdown, that's going to give you some pretty good insights that you could probably tighten up your stop loss and get some better results with your strategy. Obviously, there's going to be some trades that will, become losses that were wins, but the whole goal is, obviously, as you tighten up your stop loss, it's going to amplify that risk to reward. And so this is kind of like the first step of what's to come. I'll give you guys a little teaser. We're working on helping you guys use this more powerfully in the future as well. But for now, this is at least like a good stepping stone for you guys to see, of all of my winning trades, is there an opportunity for me to maybe, reduce my stop loss a little bit? So maybe instead of going for a 1-to-1, I can, go for 1.5-to-1 or 2-to-1, etc. Just by maybe tightening the stop loss. And this average risk drawdown of wins is really going to help you guys with that. So yeah, I think that's really most of the key features right now. Like I said, if you guys have specific feature requests or enhancements, we're going to put a link in this video once it's posted shortly after. where you guys can share feedback requests, enhancements requests, and it's going to be a really good way for you guys to give us, input on what you like, what you'd like to see in the future, as we're constantly developing different things. But yeah, I hope you guys really liked all these new features. The product team crushed it with all these features, to be honest. It's crazy that most of these are free. Like I said, the risk reward simulator, and I should say, subject to change or whatever. But I think as of right now, the simulators, so risk reward simulator, Monte Carlo simulator, future simulators, as well as the replay features, I think those are kind of limited to the paid plans. But everything else, I believe, as of right now, is available on the free plan too. So ton of value for you guys, regardless if you're on the paid plans or not. So yeah, if you guys want to share some of your risk to reward results in Discord, that's also going to be in the links for these. Definitely feel free to hop in Discord, share some results in here if you want help interpreting these. Like I said, I helped build this thing, so I'd be happy to take a look and give you guys some insights on what I'm seeing from it. But like I said, it's really kind of three main things. It's either going to tell you to increase your take profit, reduce your take profits. Maybe your base model is the best one, so maybe do nothing. And then kind of last consideration is, maybe if it gives you a profit factor over 4, it might just be a reason to pause, and maybe you were a little too not a little too biased with your backtesting. Maybe you were trying to fit the model too tightly within the period you tested. So if you get over 4, it might be good to maybe check some of the other results. If it's below 4, that might be better. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Thanks for joining on YouTube. I know we've just recently pivoted to these on YouTube instead of Discord. So hope you guys were able to join and had a good experience. But yeah, we'll keep an eye out. We'll have more of these streams in the future where I'll be backtesting different strategies and things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later, everyone. Bye.